In my previous role, I was working for the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries, and one of those areas that we're looking at is how can we improve supply chains and turn them into fully digital supply chains.
Most of the things that Hitachi does all over the world are about improving the quality of the life of the people that we serve in the communities in which we operate and live.
Agricultural technology can transform the way primary production systems work. There's probably a $20 billion advantage to Australia if Agri-tech was widely adopted across the primary production centre. The opportunity to build a digital supply chain capability for freight moving into and out of the new airport presented a real opportunity to get that established by the time the airport opened in 2026. The piece that nobody has been able to crack is how do you get the government-to-government exchange of information?
If we're really going to deliver value for our customers, we need to actually link it all the way through the border and into the foreign countries and onto their plate. It has the potential to be incredibly groundbreaking. There are lots of other solutions that get 70 to 80% of the way there. We think this might cover the last gap, but because it's experimental, it's really early to tell how much of that gap it might actually close.
This is really getting governments to talk to governments to be able to exchange documents digitally, and that's the part that's been missing.
Ultimately, it's linking together what we describe as a chain of claims to add significant value to the supply chain and to every member in the supply chain along the way.
We've been historically commodity producers, so we produce a commodity, in this case being lamb, drop it in the sale yards and not really have any clue on what it will be worth. Going forward, we'll have a lot more control over what the value of our produce will be worth.
The thing that we hear when we talk to primary producers about this project and what they're trying to achieve here is to really become what they describe as a price maker as opposed to a price taker. Rather than selling their products into the commodity market, they end up selling them directly into overseas markets on their own brand.
We put our heart and soul into what we grow and what we produce here, so it'd be fantastic that we could follow that provenance and all the hard work to supply the premium cherries and apples that we do.
A farmer who's producing cherries. Those cherries are grown, they're harvested, they're then packed and boxed, they're then taken on transport to the airport or the freight port. At each of those steps along the way, there are quality control or regulatory controls that need to be signed off. Can we replace the current paper-based systems with digital systems?
And in doing all of that, society generally ends up with less waste as a consequence of the work that happens all the way through that supply chain.
It certainly will open up a new marketplace in terms of freshness, getting the product to the consumer in a much quicker time period.
A real ethos of Hitachi's is co-creation. And because of the complexity of this project and having so many different stakeholders along the value chain, no one entity could do this alone.
Just pulling all the pieces together really creates an ecosystem for innovation and potential significant change.
All the people involved are excited because they actually see that this can actually come to a conclusion where it can actually be implemented far quicker than anticipated.
The work we've been doing in the agricultural sector and the work that we're now trying to help facilitate the transfer of product all the way from the farmer's paddock to the export consumer's plate. All of the elements of what is a very complex supply chain get solved in one form or other with the program.
People have to eat and people have to eat good fresh produce. As producers of that, we're very proud of what we do.
Agriculture's been my life for the last 30 years, on one hand. On the other hand, I have grandchildren now, and we can't keep doing farming the way we've done it. The planet can't sustain it. There's huge opportunity for countries like Australia that do farming well, that operate in a sustainable way. And so to bring that to the fore, to get the benefit to those who deserve it is what gets me going and wants to get this project done.